My name is Greg Bentley, and we thank you for coming. We want to announce that on behalf of the Singh family, our office today has served the city of Stockton with the California Government Code Section 910 claim. The 910 claim concerns the tragic events and the death of Missy Holt-Singh of July 16, 2014. Copies of the 910 claim will be made available following this press conference. How did we get here? On July 16, Misty went to the Bank of the West branch on Thornton Road and Lower Sacramento Road. She went to the bank to withdraw $40 from the ATM machine. Her daughter, Mia, 12 years old at the time, was with her on the way to the bank. Just a regular errand, regular trip to get $40. She arrived at the bank at approximately 2:10 in the afternoon. She parked her car right in front of the ATM machine. And so what we have here is a board that I think I want to walk you through as to orientate you a little bit as it relates to the bank itself and the events that unfolded that day. Everybody here is familiar with the location. That would be Lower Sacramento Road, and then we have Thornton Road, Bank of the West. Misty parked her car right here in this slot, right in front of the ATM machine. She got out of her car at about 10 after 2 and went to withdraw money. As fate would have it, at about the same time, 3 robbers came in to rob this bank. 2 robbers apprehended a security guard that was stationed right in front of the bank, overtook him, pulled him inside the bank, zip-tied his hands behind his back, and forced him on the ground. At this time, Misty has no idea what's happening. She's withdrawing $40 from the bank. She comes out at about the same time that the 2 who were apprehending the security guard were walking into the bank. But there was a 3rd suspect. And that 3rd suspect saw Misty after she withdrew the money and was walking back to get in her car to leave with her daughter. And that 3rd suspect, having been seen, pulled Misty into the bank. Now, inside the bank, one of the robbers jumped over the teller counter on the other side of the teller table. With gun up, herded all of the employees and the customers inside the bank over here, kind of on the left-hand side. Ordered everybody down. 2 robbers took employees into the vault and got the money. $15,000. During this time, a bank employee pushed the silent alarm. And at this time, all of the employees are up in this area over here to the left, told to stand down, to lie down. This all happened within a couple minutes. About 5 minutes after these robbers went into the bank, they ordered the bank manager, Kelly Hubert, to get her keys and show these robbers where her car was. And I want to pause here a little bit because I want to walk you through some fundamental police procedures and protocol that is recognized nationally that was not followed at all by the City of Stockton Police Department. The International Association of Chiefs of Police sets the best practices standards for police agencies worldwide through its federally funded National Policy Center. The center creates model policies and position papers that address the most critical issues in policing today, including response to bank alarms, pursuit, and deadly force. The primary goal in responding to a bank alarm is to do so without being seen, to go in stealth, Standard police practices mandate that officers respond in a position that is concealed, that the robbers cannot see them. Because what we know is the robbers are only taking money. And what the industry knows, what law enforcement knows, is they take the money and they flee. And so standard protocol requires that they go in and not be concealed so that you avoid a shootout. You avoid hostage situations. You avoid deadly scenarios. And we have for you copies here This is the bank alarm response policy from the IACP, model policy. And we can provide this to whoever would like to see it. But these are standard policies followed by the Justice Department, followed by most, if not all, law enforcement across the country. And the model policy, as it relates to bank alarm response, without reading the whole thing, specifically states that without being easily visible to those inside, that is how they are to respond. The first unit on the scene shall serve as the primary unit without being easily visible to those inside. The Stockton Police Department policy, we have that as well. And their own policy follows the model policy. And the Stockton Police Department General Order for Robbery Alarms confirms that when they come in, they need to take into consideration the fact that a hostage situation could be initiated by police response being recognized by the robbers. It is fundamental police policy practices.
Come back to the mic if you could, please.
It is fundamental police policy practices that in a bank alarm situation, you are to come to the scene, you are to park your vehicle, and you are not to be seen. So what happened here on July 16th? Well, the Stockton police officers violated these very fundamental and life-changing principles. The very first step that they did in this tragic chain of events was well below the standard of police practices, was negligent, failed in their responsibilities. Because within about a minute or two before these robbers were to leave the bank for the first time with just the bank manager, a responding police officer, the first officer that arrived at the scene, parked the vehicle right here on Thornton Road with lights on, parallel to the entrance, fully visible. About a minute or two after that, the second Stockton police officer arrived and parked the vehicle behind the first one on Thornton Road. Two police cars, completely visible, with no thought of complying with standard police practices. What happened is that these bank robbers, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in detail, but it's been widely reported that this bank had been robbed on January 31, 2014. It had been robbed by two of the same guys, Gilbert Renteria and Alex Martinez. Jaime Ramos was not involved in that first robbery. But what we know is that on the January robbery, when Renteria and Martinez were at the bank and they got their money, and they were there just a few minutes, they asked a bank employee for keys to the car. And then they left. And as they left, they couldn't find the car. And so as they're walking around, they walk to the left, they walk to the right, they can't see the car. They're pushing the key. They can't find the car. They almost walk back in, and then one of the guys finds the car. And so clearly what they knew on July 16, 2014, is that game plan of trying to find a car is not the quickest way to get out. And so what they said that day was the bank manager was going to go and show them where her car was. And where Miss Huber's car was parked was right about here in the second stall, second or third stall, facing Lower Sacramento. And so as they come out, there's two police cars completely visible on the right. As they leave the bank, neither the robbers nor Miss Huber saw the police officer vehicles on Thornton Road. They walk out, the three robbers with Miss Huber, and they turn left, heading towards the car, Miss Huber's vehicle. As they get about to the hedge here, right in front of the bank, walking towards her car, they see now the third police officer that had responded to the scene. And just like the other two, this officer blatantly was in violation of standard protocol and policy for the safe response to a bank alarm. The officer had parked his vehicle on the entrance at Lower Sacramento Road with the front of the patrol car facing the bank, facing directly at them as they're walking towards their car. And this officer, not concealed, was standing outside of the vehicle with the front door open, with his shotgun pointed directly at the robbers as they're coming out. Staring right at it. They see it. They pause, just as they get off the curb here on the asphalt. The officer yells at them, makes a foul statement, which I'm not going to say right now, but basically threatens to blow their you-know-what heads off. Clearly causing an alarm for everybody. And so what happens? The robbers grab Miss Huber and retreat back into the bank. Because the officer was visible, was aggressive, and identified himself. No need to do that. What the officer's action did was push these bank robbers back into the bank. It was the exact conduct that these policies and procedures are designed to prevent. It created the hostage situation. If that officer had not been visible and they left the scene, I wouldn't be here right now. Misty would still be alive. The Stockton Police Department was negligent in its failure to comply with standard response policies, creating this hostage situation. So after they go back in, they're in the bank now for maybe another minute. And they immediately grab Misty, and they grab another bank employee, Stephanie Casoya. And they come out, and there's three robbers, each with a hostage, each with a gun. And as they come out, the patrol officer is still at the entrance on Lower Sacramento. There's still two patrol cars here. I think the press has seen there was one female officer that was outside of the car, and before they came out, visibly seen. And so they leave, the three of them leave, and they get to the car. Miss Huber's the driver. Misty is seated behind the driver's seat. Stephanie is seated behind the front passenger seat. Jaime Ramos is in the middle of the two of them. Gilbert Renteria is in the front passenger seat, and Alex Martinez is in the back in the cargo area. They back up, they leave, and they leave the bank by going around the drive-through area, making a right turn heading westbound on Thornton Avenue. And what we know for sure is those two police cars that were on Thornton began chase. Not certain if the officer that was back here did or not, but I'm going to assume that that officer did because we know there were close to 30 police cars involved in this chase. And so we believe that the evidence will establish that the City of Stockton police officers were not properly trained, did not properly understand and did not properly comply with standard protocol in its response, resulting in the tragic death of a beautiful mother and beautiful wife.